You don't have any right to be sad. Like, fucking, like...
Because $100 million means nothing.
I just said, this is not my vision.
Hey, bro, like, you made me realize that Sit, go.
Hello. Welcome back to the podcast.
That's it. Welcome back.
If this is your first time listening,
I'm your host.
Fred.
Fred, you beat me to it.
Good morning, afternoon, late evening, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, listening to this podcast, driving, make sure it's safely, and have some beautiful frequencies coming through your earwaves. This is the Brotherly Love Podcast. Here with myself, Guy Anderson.
Adam Green.
And today on the podcast we have...
I thought you were going to do Fred first. Lewis Huckstep.
Lewis Huckstep and Frederick
Lamar Green.
Is he in shot? Is the dog in shot?
He's in shot.
Fantastic.
He's a Leo.
A Leo.
Yeah.
And as always, thank you very much to our podcast video editor, creator, creation lord, Kai Katese.
Thanks,
Thank you, brother. Hey, Lewis Huckstep, how have you been? You featured on episode 8 of season 1.
Holy shit.
Yep. And now we are back. Well, it's been 6 months since we sort of shut down season 1. We got too busy bringing the studio to life.
What a journey.
Thank you, bro. And so I feel like on the first attempt with the podcast, it wasn't an attempt. We successfully launched it. It was a good chat nonetheless. I just don't feel we gave you the opportunity enough to hear more about yourself and what you've been through your journey. And to for those of you that don't know, Lewis is a owner in PLC. You've had 3 PLC gyms. Currently, you have 1. Yes.
Sold 2 over the last 2 years.
Correct, yeah. And you've got a beautiful partner, Georgia, as do I, and so we share some similarities there. But you've been through a mad journey in the sense of self-discovery, an immense amount of inner work and discovering who you are. And you've had many mentors that are very, very well respected within the realms of self-development, and would just love to give you the opportunity to come back and sort of really sort of share more of your story. And we'd love to, now that we've got this place where we'll be able to draw some similarities and relevances, Adam being head coach and helping with this immensely, and I feel like it's got a good feel to it where we're at now, so that we can deliver more value to the audience, but also just hopefully bring up some stuff that no one's ever sort of an angle that no one's ever approached you on as well. So
I look forward to it, man. I've had the pleasure of having you on my podcast as well, and your conversation just flows, man. And you've obviously got there's a lot of alignment with us. So it's something I'm really passionate about, which, depending wherever we go, I love the mental mindset space, and obviously how that translates to your physical body, to your relationships, to what it's like to show up as a man. That was a big theme of our podcast that we did. So, man, I'm an open book, so we can go wherever you want. We can chat business, we can chat dogs. We obviously got dogs here, so we can go wherever you want to go, man.
Yeah,
so
for
I'm an open book.
I want to acknowledge you as well and say you're very good at checking in on me. Always get a message on social media from Lewis saying, "Hey, bro, how's things going?" Hey, and it's like, and some questions are brilliant. Like, what was one question you said? Hey, man, what are your top 3 goals this year, or something like that? And I'm like, fuck, I respect that, because what is it doing? It's just like, hey, just checking in, but I'm also wanting you to be the best version of yourself. You know, and it's like, what a nice thing for someone who's got running a business himself, and he's got a partner, and he's got a dog, and now a cat, and and still finds time to reach in on those that he gives a fuck about. And so I appreciate that. On that, what are your top 3 goals for this year?
Top 3 goals for the year. a little exercise that I recommend everyone doing. I do it every 3 months, and I do it every 3 months, but once a year I do this is the kind of the big annual one, is I write down my values, my purpose, my mission, my vision, and then I just do big bubble, what are my goals for the year. So top 3 that come to mind, actually selling the gym, ironically. So I want to sell, not the whole percentage of it, but sell a lot of it. I went through a gym chapter of my life where I opened up 3 gyms in the space of 4 years, And it was just out of ego, out of stress, living off fight or flight. And for
you
all
were
the wrong
very young
reasons.
at that age as well.
Very young.
Just for a little bit of background context here as well. Like, can you walk people through your kind of journey to acquiring the gym and stuff?
18, I repeated year 12, PBC. Any PBC lads around? PBC? No, I saw a smile. So
PBC lads.
Yeah, PBC lads. So I came from a sporting background, so sports was kind of my outlet. I struggled before that mentally, emotionally. That was kind of the pain points, but found an outlet through sports. I was reasonably good at it, went to a sporting school. And then my vision at that time was be a high school teacher and then a personal trainer during the holidays if football didn't work out. And I repeated year 12 to get into university because I was doing too much sport. Started the health and fitness journey, applied to all these gyms, got knocked back, didn't get into it, gave up. And then I said, I'll give it one more shot, jumped on Gumtree. And it's actually literally across the road from where we are right now. When I went down there and I went down for work experience, I said, hey, mate, I don't want any money. Can I work for free? Get some experience. Is that cool? Ended up doing that for 2.5 years. And so I worked for free for 2.5 years.
Wow.
And then my, I guess, reward for that is I got...
How old were you here?
I was 18 when I started.
Yeah,
that. So,
wow.
So at 20, the guy at the time gave me an opportunity to buy into that studio, PLC Burley, which is literally across here. And it's funny, we're on Hutchinson Street right now. I think 11 Hutchinson Street. We moved there temporarily. We can talk about that story later, but
Good numbers.
Yeah, little number that...
We're at 4-4.
11, baby. So it was a good little memory just driving down here, but opened up one. And this is very naively, we were not running this business like a proper business. Like we had a network marketing integrated into the business. So people were working for free. There was no people on the books. It was just all of hype, which is also good to start a business. You need that excitement and that energy about you. But we were very naive. We were not running it properly. And literally within a month of me purchasing the one in Burley, he said, my business partner said, let's do another one. Let's do it. So, and I was a very yes person back then, but out of insecurity, out of lack of boundaries, lack of self-worth, and lack of integrity with myself, to be honest. So I was just like, yes to everything to put everyone else ahead of me. So said yes to that. And anyways, within 3 months, I got the keys. I got the keys to the second one on my 21st birthday, which is a cool memory for me. And that was PLC Coomera. Built that up. And I was this whole time, 4 to 6 hours sleep, hustle, grind, eating shit food, not training myself, no friendships, no relationships. It was business. That's all I was doing. Opened up PLC Coomera, kind of juggled PLC Burley at the same time. I had a business partner that came into the picture. She did a really, really good job. And then I built PLC Coomera up to 200 members within 12 months. And then I hired myself out, and that was a goal of mine because I always wanted to do the coaching because I'm always passionate about that, which we'll get into today. And then the same person offered me another opportunity. Said, hey, I've got this studio at PLC Mollendina. Do you want to buy into it? He said, put 50 grand in, get some shares. I said, yeah, let's do it. Did it. And then we went on a ski trip, and we're in New Zealand, actually where you're off to next week. So we're in New Zealand, and we're just like literally smoking weed, chilling out, playing some board games. He's like, bro, the gym's not doing that great. Do you want to take the gym off me? Just go build it up yourself. You can have my shares for free. And I was high doing it. I was like, yeah, let's do it. And I was like, I've got 2. They're not doing that great. They're like, I'm juggling them. They're like,
do you want my shares for free?
Yeah, you've got to go build it up. It was a shit show. I won't get into the details of it, but it was a bit of a shit show. But I just said yes to it. I wasn't thinking about it. I didn't say, hey, what's the profit and loss? How much debt's on the business? How much time do I have on my hands? I just said, yeah, let's do it.
Of course.
And
it was an opportunity, hey.
So I did that, and then I stretched too much. So I had 3, looked good on paper, but I was so stressed. They were barely breaking even, like we're making a little bit of money. And then I kind of hit a bit of a brick wall with my business partner at the Coomera one. So I ended up giving those shares back to him. I said, hey man, look, this is not working out. I'm not going to fight you for these. Take my shares. It's not worth it to me. You take care of it. I'm going to do my own thing. And then we went through COVID with 2 gyms, which you guys would have had that fun experience. So we went through COVID in the fitness industry. It was very challenging, obviously challenging for a lot of people, but went through that. And then when we came out of COVID, I was just not inspired to do the gyms. Like I was doing it out of ego, out of insecurities, out of just to have the status. I remember I was 22 years old with 3 gyms on my Instagram. That was the insecure guy I was back then. So I just said, this is not my vision. I was getting clear on my vision, exactly what I said about setting those goals. And I said, this is just not my vision. This is not who I am. This is not what I'm drawn to do. It's not what I'm inspired to do. I want to coach people mentally, emotionally, spiritually, understand their purpose, their vision, how to heal through their shit. That's what I love doing. And I always kind of did it through the gym, but it just wasn't really the same. And so I just made a decision, whatever it takes, I'm going to get there. If I have to sell the other gym, which I ended up doing. So I sold the Burley one early last year, or I decided early last year, but I got done about mid last year. And then since then, man, so for about 13 or so months, I've been just doing full-time coaching. So I've obviously got a lot of business skills from that venture, and I'm just applying it to that. I've removed myself or hired myself out of the other one. So I've got a beautiful team at Molendino that are killing it. We're growing. We've had positive weeks for the last 2 or 3 months in a row. We're about 198 members, or almost at 200 members now. But to do that without being in the gym is a huge achievement.
Yeah, for sure.
I've done it myself 3 times, but I've never done it without me in it. So that's been a huge learning experience. And been coaching people ever since. So that's kind of the gym context to your question.
Wow. Yeah. Beautiful. Do you have any questions off the bat?
So many.
Yeah.
Firstly, just want to say, like, I was in shock when you said you were 18 and you worked for free for 2 years.
Yeah.
Like, it's night and day difference between, I'm not like ragging out like the younger people I see today, but so many kids today don't have that mindset. It's like they feel like they're owed the world for very little output.
Yeah.
So to see that, like to hear about that is just like mind blowing. If you just like, I'm just going to work for free, build up like my confidence, my competence, and people has trust in me. So good job on that.
Thank you, man.
That was a big story. So I got questions. You got questions?
I mean, we did say like now you've kind of led into and 100. Yeah, like you said, like you shifted your focus of like it's like building. How much of an ego thing is that? Is that like the ego death of, oh no, I've got to be in the business in order for it to succeed. So I understand, and especially once you remove yourself, it's like you're trusting fully in your team to be able to, you may incur a fraction of a loss with your gone, but then but it's because they're not skilled in the realms you are holding that, and until they build up the strength to be able to get that, then that's when you're operating. You're no longer in the business; you're on it.
Yeah.
And so for that to be an intention, or for that to be a goal that you've now a milestone that you've now achieved to be, what's the capacity at PLC there?
What are we at right now?
Well, you're at 198, but what is the capacity?
It's a big studio. It's probably how much is it? I think it's like 240 squares on the floor, and then there's offices and mezzanine. So
is it general rule of thumb like 1 square meter, one person, or
we could probably get up to probably 400 would be like a stretch. So that's our mission is 400 members. That's the mission. Obviously, there's going to be hurdles to get through there, but like there's a studio, a boutique studio similar to us in Burleigh, and they're at 450, and I'm like, it's at 45 for context. So they're at 450. So there you go. That's a smile. So if they can do it, why can't you guys?
Fucking right.
So
we're gonna get started on F45.
Yeah, so that's So 400's the mission. Obviously, there's a lot of growth to be had to get there, but that's what we're aiming for.
Good on you, man.
Now PLC, I know a bit about it, but is it only classes, or is there kind of free gym space like in between classes, or
a bit of both? It's I can't share too much of it. We're transitioning out of PLC at the moment. It's kind of publicly known anyways, but there is a transition going on now. But it's functional training, but also the coaching part. That's the part I always enjoyed the most about it. So we do like the body scans, the nutrition plans. I always wove in the mindset stuff within that. Nice. I always did my stuff within there. I was doing like sales consults, and we were healing traumas in the sales consult. So I really enjoyed that part. But functional training, but then the nutrition, the body scans, the check-ins. Like we have a coaching membership where they get weekly check-ins. We do fortnightly body scans, etc., etc. So functional training with just heaps of support around that.
Yeah, sick. Okay. I'm like ticking over now. Like the next thing is we're buying a body scanner.
I love that. I remember you saying, I think it was when I was listening with you and Corey Bower, and you used to say you used to go around and like with all, when you were a coach, it used to be, Lewis comes around and he doesn't hit you from an ordinary, go push harder. It's like, what would be some of the things that you would say to inspire your there'd be different things of, you would get in their ears, like when it says challenging your mindset, it's like, what are you running from, or what would be some of the things where the different angles that you'd come from, especially when you're talking around like trauma and stuff like that. It's like, I guess it's just bringing awareness to something that, mate, like what would you sort of techniques?
Are you referring to on the gym floor?
You used to say things. I remember. I can't remember what you said. Yeah.
In a sales consult, in a gym floor, I wouldn't do that in a gym floor. Right. I wouldn't say as a squatting kilos.
Why are you running from your trauma?
Mid deadlift. So I wouldn't do it in that sense. In a like coaching session. So like say it's just you and me here, and we're doing a goal setting check in, and we're checking in what's going on. Like I'm obviously general goals and what's stopping them from getting their goals. That's what I'm looking for. So what's stopping? Because we know this, we're on the fitness industry. Like to be healthy, it's not that complicated. Do some exercise, eat some protein, drink some water, get some sleep. Like if you just do that, you're going to do pretty well. Then there's the minor things depending on your goals, depending on the level of fitness that you want. Then you might have to, get massages, do some ice baths. I know you guys got this, might need some mindfulness. But if you just do those first 4 things, you're going to get a decent result, right? So but why is people not doing that? Why is so many people struggling with motivation, struggling to get to the gym, struggling to eat healthy? And then that's where what's underlying that's kind of where my mind goes to. And that's where I just start ask the questions. I can see things based on what I know that's probably holding them back. So then those questions start to come up, and that's where, like I said, I kind of turn into a bit of a life coaching session or a mental health session. But it depends on the context, man.
Yeah, I just remember that podcast, and you gave examples of what you used to say, and I remember it was so like adverse to anything I'd heard before, but I can't remember what they were. But yeah, that aside. So now that you're getting rid of this gym and you're going all into your coaching, what will you'll still hold shares within the business of PLC? Or?
I think so. Like honestly, it's something that it's taken a long time. Out of ego that you were mentioning before, is I was really attached to it because I've got 3 gyms. Oh no, I'm down to 2. I'm down to 1. It's like that ego was there. It's like
for sure.
So since I guess becoming detached to it and not being needy of it, whatever you need in life does control who you are. If you're needy of the status or the title, then you'll be manipulated or make decisions that's going to put that above everything else, even if it's your own mental health, if it's your own well-being, if it's the people that you love. So since detaching from it, I was considering closing the whole thing down. I said, like, is this really aligned with me? But it's like, I've got this asset here. I've just built it up. Why would I just throw it down the toilet? Yeah. So it's very much, for me, it's a vehicle that I've got an incredible team. I've got an incredible team as a whole. There's a couple that want to buy into it from there. So whether I sell 100% to them, we're working on selling 40% to 2 people at the moment, then I'll keep 20 if they want to buy me out in the future. I'm open to it. If they want to buy it out right now, they want to keep me in, so they've got a bit of not security, but they've got a bit of mentorship from that sense. So I'm just not attached to it, man. So it's not my vision, and it was a lot for me to admit that because of the ego. I'm like, I opened these gyms. This has been my life for 8 years, to really say this is not for me, and I'm okay detaching from it, and I'm okay actually walking away from this and not being needy of having that on my report card or on my score sheet. That was the real sort of, I guess, permission for me to actually pursue what I fucking love instead of just doing it for the status, for the ego, for the accomplishment, for the achievement. So long answer to your question, I could sell the whole thing. I think commercially I'll probably want to keep a bit of it just for a nice asset on the side, but it's definitely not where my wealth is. It's definitely not where my impact is. It's not where my vision is, but you never just throw an asset away just because you can, right? You want to maximize it as you can.
I want to backtrack too, because we got to this story because we wanted to know about your goals. And we were talking about that. Yeah. So what are your big 3 goals?
The big 3 I had was sell the gym, which was obviously that conversation. Secondly is to have 150 people through my weekend event. So that's where I do kind of my magic sauce or magic as a coach, or my specialty as a coach.
Also, I saw you advertise that for free, was it?
I do free strategy sessions, and I do free workshops to get them into the big one. So free, kind of like the free 6-week challenge we were talking about before, right? So lead magnet to get them in, and then obviously connect with them. I did one just then. I was in the car just then before we jumped in here. Free value for people to get them into obviously your world, add value to them, build trust, build that relationship with someone. Whenever I get people on the phone, because they can feel my authenticity and my genuine want to help them, I'm pretty easy at closing them. But yeah, so 150 through the workshop. A third one, I don't really have. Those are definitely top 2. Top 3, it's hard to measure it, but obviously work on my relationship, with Georgia and keep growing, because obviously you get triggered a lot in a relationship. Had one this morning actually, so had some healing done this morning, which was really good. So tough conversations, so we can talk about that. But yeah, so sell the gym, impact 150 people through my weekend event, and just improve the relationship. I know you can't really tangibly measure that, but just keep working on me would be number 3.
What's your event? What's the kind of, I don't know, you don't want to give away too much maybe, but what's the outline of the event?
Run the whole event if you want. We'll do the whole thing. So my passion is helping people. There's kind of 3. 3 steps, but there's kind of like tangents on all of them. Firstly is I love helping people understand who are they authentically and what is their purpose, their call in life. So what do I love? What are my values? What's my purpose? What's my mission? What's my vision? So that's getting clear on who you are. I use the Statue of David quote all the time. If you've heard that before, it's like Michelangelo crafted or made the Statue of David. Someone asked him, how did you make such a beautiful piece of art? And he said, it was just beautiful. He said, David was always there. I just had to remove everything that wasn't him. And if you start to think that to yourself, it's like, who are we? Because we've just picked up beliefs, traumas, egos, limiting beliefs. I know shit on top of us that's masking who we really are, right? Hence the ego. Before I had to put gym owner on my Instagram just to feel enough because I'm just making up for shit that I haven't worked on yet. So that's what I always start with. So understand who is someone, where are you going, why are you getting there? You guys are big on purpose, right? Yeah. Big on purpose. Like as men, we want to, it's like, we spoke about the way of the superior man on our first podcast. It's like, it's the duty of a man to feel full is to get clear on his purpose and fucking chase it relentlessly, right? So that's, for me, that's one of the biggest things that we start with. So who are your values? And then we use values to determine your purpose. And then mission's just a big target. What do you want to do in the next 5 to 10 years? Because you want to stretch goal, right? We value the shit we work for. If everything came easy in life, we'd be emotionally weak. And look at people that have lives like that, right? Their parents buy them the new car. They get everything done for them. They never have to fucking work hard for anything. They're emotionally weak. They can't handle challenge. They can't handle COVID. They can't handle whatever went through. Not COVID from a biological sickness side, like but COVID
perhaps
from
even.
possibly like that. We can go into COVID if you want, but it's from a like a stress and challenge side. It's like I've been doing a lot of stoicism stuff. I'm not sure if you guys look into that.
Fucking love it.
Loving Ryan Holiday lately.
Yeah,
bought all his books the other month. So it's like we want to be challenged, so we've got the strength to handle adversities that life throws at us.
100%.
So that's kind of phase 1. Phase 2 is all the personal stuff. This is probably my favorite stuff. It's all the mental and emotional piece. How to process trauma, how to understand and overcome anxiety, depression, how to remove judgment from yourself and others. So if you're judging someone or you're judging yourself, we want to remove that. Whatever you judge yourself for, you continue to do. Think about that for a little bit. What else do we go through? We go through limiting beliefs, as I mentioned before. We always prove our beliefs right. If you believe you're a certain way, you will make that true. If you believe you're not worthy, you're going to make that true. If you believe you're not good at something, you will make that true. So identifying beliefs, rewriting them. I remember all the pieces. We go through meditation. We go through ego. I love ego because it was a really pain point for me, from my father, from my upbringing. So really understanding what is the ego. Short analogy of it, a short story of it. Your ego stands door at the guard of your traumas. So when you get triggered from a trauma, your ego shows up to protect it. If you've got an insecurity, which we all do, if I was to come up and let's say hypothetically, you had insecurities around your image or your health or something like that, Guy, and I said, you look like shit today, or you should go to the gym, you're looking like shit. And that touches you and that hurts you, that's a trauma of yours. Your ego will come up to defend it. You'll deflect it, you'll attack it, you'll defend it, you'll blame it, you'll compare it, or you'll attack me. But that's your ego not wanting to go into the trauma. So the more, if you think about that the other way around, the more trauma you have, the more egotistic you are. Because as you heal trauma, the ego's out less because it's got less to protect, right? If you've got no buttons that I can push, your ego doesn't come out. But if you're covered in trauma and I touch you, it's going to set you off. So that's one of the tools that we go through. I'm trying to think of all in all. We go through depth within all of those. And then the last piece is planning, where we go through what's your purpose, what's your mission, what's your vision, and then what are we going to actually, how are we going to create that, right? Because a lot of people have big goals, but how the fuck are you going to get there? How are you going to open up Brotherhood, right? How are you going to open up the studio? How do you get the finances? How do you get the bond? How do you get the legals? How do you get the lease agreements? How do you market? How do you sell? How do you hire people? Like, it's how the fuck do you actually do it, right? So then we break down your goals from your mission, which is, well, purpose first, mission/vision. They're both 5-10 years away, but the mission is the goal. And then what are you doing the next 12 months, next quarter, next month, next week? And what are you doing today? Down to daily huddles. So we do daily huddles every single day. If you want one practical tip that you can do right now will change your life forever, Kerwin Ray taught me this, love you Kerwin, is daily huddles. What are you excited for today? What were your outcomes for yesterday, done or not done, and why weren't they done? Accountability, transparency. What are you doing today? What are your outcomes for today? Make sure they're measurable. Do you need any support with those outcomes? So there's no excuse for tomorrow why you didn't do them. Oh, I didn't know how to do it. Why didn't you ask for support?
Yeah.
And what are you grateful for? Do that every fucking day. Send it to someone. I have one-on-one clients. I have 5 one-on-one clients. I send it to them. They send it to me. So we've got all transparency. Send it to my team. I send it to my partner. She sends me hers. And I send it to just a buddy of mine who's in the coaching world. We just coach each other from a distance. So that is kind of what I do on the weekend. So where are you? Where are you going? All the personal shit. And then you've got direction and clarity for where you're going. So you know who you are, where you're going, why you're getting there, and you've got all the tools to handle the shit life throws at you on pursuit of your purpose. That's kind of me. That's my passion.
That's epic.
And then chapter on top of that is business. So how do you, because most people, when they get to that point, it's like, well, to live my purpose, I can't work in a job because a job isn't going to allow me to fulfill that. So then business comes into it. How do you commercialize your purpose? That's a good fucking question, right? How do you get clear on... There's a quote from Jack DeLosa. He's a great mentor as well, if anyone wants a good recommendation. He says, when what you do is the fullest expression of who you are, you will do your life's best work. Legit. So what's your purpose? And then what's the fullest expression of that? For me, it wasn't the gyms. There was coaching there, so I did enjoy it, but it wasn't the type of stuff I wanted to be coaching. So that's why
like half your expression.
Half it, yeah. Because I was doing it in the sales consult. I was doing little trauma breakthroughs in a sales consult. But it wasn't a business based around it, right? It wasn't touching as many people as I want to touch and helping the people that I want to help. So the next chapter, so that's kind of chapter 1 is everything we said. Chapter 2 is how do you actually start, build, scale a business, remove yourself out of it, like I've been able to do at the studio, and also the online business that I'm building at the moment. And then the next chapter that I haven't turned into a teachings is relationships. That's something I'm very passionate about, because relationships, because of the trauma stuff, you get triggered the most in a relationship because they get to know the most authentic version of you. So therefore, the person with all the wounds, the inner boy that hasn't been healed yet. So you're going to get triggered the most in that relationship. If you don't have the tools to regulate your emotions, to see the balance, to ask the quality questions, to hold space, you're going to go from relationship, blame the other person for triggering you, even though it's your shit. And then you ruin that relationship or end that relationship, get into another one, same shit happens. End it, get into another one, same shit happens. And I'm sure you've got friends or family that have done this, and you're smiling because we've all done it. I've got friends, I come from a footy background. All my mates used to do it, they still do. And that's why a lot of my work really shows up in relationships. Obviously, the stuff I do shows up in a lot of different areas, but it really shows up in relationships. So probably the next 2 years, I'll probably do actual courses on relationships. I don't think I'm ready to teach that yet, but it's a byproduct of what I do elsewhere.
Wow. So when's that event? Is it often?
I do it 4 times a year. I've got a recorded version of it. So for some people, because I've got people, I connect with people overseas and who aren't in the country. So it's a weekend event, Australian times over a weekend, but some people can't make it because of time zone. So I've got a pre-recorded version of that, or I do a weekend event, and it's all online. So we do it from anyone from around the world can do it. I've got people from Canada, US, Ireland and Switzerland, and then Aussie and New Zealand that are joining it. I do that 4 times a year. And then, like I said, I've got a pre-recorded event where people can go through it. And do
so you sit at your computer and run that whole weekend?
Yeah, I've got a setup, got a cool little setup I was talking before. I've got all the cameras set up, all the mics set up. You can do it. You've been in that studio that we did our podcast. That's all my online streaming. So I can touch people and help people run events from home. And I'll do it in person in the future. That's a question I have asked a couple of times. I will do it in the future. I'm not drawn to doing it just yet. What's the
type of people that you get in your course?
It's the most common person I'm attracting for whatever reason, middle-aged women. And I think if I had to answer why, it's probably the relationship stuff. Yeah. They're the ones that probably get taken advantage of a lot in relationships from undeveloped men. I'm sure you guys see that's probably part of your work actually, is helping.
Fucking 100%.
Yeah, I can feel the passion with you. So that's probably why we got along so well in our podcast, because everything you're saying, I'm like, fuck yeah. Because I'm like, so middle-aged women generally, because they've experienced the pain of a relationship because of obviously their stuff, but obviously the partner stuff as well. It's hard. I'm not sure if you guys are pretty good with your niche because you're obviously targeting gentlemen. But I do struggle to nail down my niche. Driven people is, I guess, the most general I've been able to get it, is people that want to work on themselves. Self-driven people, ripping the couch. Driven people. I don't, generally it's middle-aged women, and I can't really find the trait within them that's common, but people that just want to heal, people want to grow, people want to improve themselves, people that are self-development driven is who I attract.
And thank God they find you.
Yeah.
Honestly, you've got... and I see the stuff you do within your relationship, and even like the daily huddle was. I remember you were saying you were showing me after you were going through that, and you actually you like took a call with me and spoke to me through that, and I remember walking away from that conversation thinking, "Fuck, that's such a good idea. How do we do that? How do we integrate that?" And we did. I implemented a weekly team meeting, but then like it was hard to get everyone's like sort of
schedules
to align. And now where we're working out of here more daily, it's like it can be something that we pull back and bring back, but actually like have a daily huddle, because it's so important to check in on your team. That comes into relationship. It's not only your relationship in terms of your soul partner or whatever. It's like when you're in business with someone, it should be treated as a relationship. That is a relationship. 100%. I want to know. When I'm speaking with Ed, for example, it's like I want to know what's going on in his personal life, because that's going to show up throughout the business. I want to, and communication. Hey, it's such a big one. Like whether it's just it's being transparent throughout the whole journey. I was like, hey, this is where I'm at, and this is because you don't want to leave anything to guessing, because then that can create something in someone else's mind. Hey,
we definitely spend the most time with each other. Out of like anyone else I know, and I think we've gotten a lot better at communicating things. So it's good job for that.
Nice work.
It's I think things started to run smoother when we're kind of just a bit more open about things. But I definitely think just the daily check-ins and the daily talks, like a strong team is all you need to like crush the world. So
something we do a Monday big huddle where we review, because daily huddles we review the day before, and then we do a weekly huddle where we review the week that was, and then monthly huddles and everything that I said from the planning. Something we do on our Monday is how are you personally out of 10 and how are you professionally out of 10 and why. So that's maybe something you can incorporate. Sometimes depending, like say we had challenges in business, and so we kind of got the team together, and it was like a Wednesday, and we redid that. So we do it minimum once a week, but it is a good little one just to, like I said, check in how someone's doing personally, because it's I like the Buddha and a Benz analogy. Like you want to be well in your personal life, whole, fulfill, growing, spiritually okay and happy, but then you want to do well commercially. So that's why it's good to check in on both. And it's good because if you've got a great environment, I'm sure you guys do as well, is having that space for, because I personally hate the saying like don't bring your shit to work. There's truth to it. Like don't bring your shit and unload it onto your clients. Don't do that. But if you've got shit going on, why not have a safe environment at work where you can open up to someone? Why not have that? Yeah, that's what we do with our team. Like we had a huddle this morning, and one of our team members, obviously won't use who they were, but open it up. They've got some things happening in their personal life with their relationship, and it look like they're leaving their partner and they're moving in between houses. We're like, look, we're here for you. If you need help, if you need to delegate some of your roles, I'm happy to pick up a bit of your workload this week to help out. It's like, why not create that instead of just bottling shit up, which we all know where that ends. It's just going to explode and affect your professional life. It's I don't like that saying, but there's truth to it, but I don't agree with it.
Yeah, I love that. Hey, can I ask you a question in terms of will there be, in terms of letting go of PLC?
Yeah.
Will there be a financial backstep, but that's the sacrifice that you're willing to make because that will free up time for you to step into the? Will that hinder you in any way, or will that?
I'm earning, like, this is part of the teaching as well. Like, whatever your highest value is, it's where your wealth is. So my highest value is coaching. Again, I could coach through there, but not the way that I want to. I'm earning 5-10 times more through this already than I am through the gym. I'm making sure everything's fair and equitable. That's something that I struggled with before. Like I said, I was just yes person, take the short end of the stick, put everyone else's needs ahead of my own. But making sure that the deal is fair and equitable. So whatever the business is worth, they'll buy based on what it's worth. So the deal will be fair and equitable. I'll obviously get a chunk of cash at the sales point, and obviously there's debt to the business from me, which will get paid back to me. Plus, if I keep a percentage, I'll get that percentage long term as well. I guess yes and no to your question. Will I lose the ability to have higher cash flow from an asset? Absolutely, because you're obviously giving away a large percentage of it. But the sale will be fair and equitable from the price they're paying for it. And it obviously does free up more time to do more of what I love, which is where more of the wealth for me is.
It's generated. Yeah, for sure. I think that's just we were speaking on it earlier with Peter, and it's just like that's that back step, that's that trade-off as an entrepreneur or a business owner. It's like, you got to be willing to take a step backwards to gain, to gain 3 forward or whatever, and you've got to be willing to suffer in what seems like an eternity, but will end up being the short term for the long term gain. Yeah.
If you go.
I was like at 18 working for years without actually getting paid. Now being the owner of the gyms and whatnot, like kids would have been like, oh, I don't want to work for free. And then 5 years later, still in the same spot. Yeah. Whereas you took that short-term loss to just propel yourself into where you are now. So it's a really big lesson for people to understand. Like you need to have that suffering in order to achieve something greater.
Yeah. It's like, it's back to the stoicism stuff. It's just like people don't wish life be easier, wish you be stronger. So I love, I just read Discipline is Destiny from Ryan Holiday, and he uses this, it's my biggest takeaway from the book. It's like he uses Hercules as a story. And I don't know whether it's the truth. Actually,
I love Hercules.
Let me know if this is the truth, because I'm paraphrasing right now. Yeah. But he came to a crossroad in his life where he had a beautiful goddess tempting him with all the pleasures, the food, the sex, the luxuries, never had to work hard, but ultimately leads him to weakness and fatigue and breaking down and not being his full potential. And the other option was another person tempting him to come towards him, but she was tempting him with challenge, with problems, with hard work, with things to conquer, and like having to work hard for who he is, but ultimately leads to the legacy that is Hercules. And we have those decisions every day. The snooze button, the Uber Eats, the going to porn, taking the temptation, not going to the gym, cutting short on a set at the gym. It's like those decisions of, do I take the temptation, the easy route, which leads to weakness, or do I do what's hard for the strength? And it's just that moment to moment we're having this, right? It's like you will have it today. You'll have many of them today. And it's those little decisions. So even when I'm training, you're fucked on the air bike and you want to stop. It's like, there's 10 seconds left. Is this hard or easy? It's hard. Let's do it. Like looking for what's hard has been something that's been really, just really enlightening, empowering for me in the last sort of couple of months since going down this rabbit hole. It's, that's just came to mind with what you said.
Looking for what's hard. I love that, because a lot of people like voluntary suffering is like the biggest thing. That's why I was the first few weeks of like being in brotherhood, I remember posting something saying like, because for a few years I got into a relationship which was cruisy, easy, like the Uber Eats, the nights in, the love, like, you know, I got into that. I don't want to equate love. The love was great. But over time, that consistently choosing those easy routes, I became very sloppy and weak. So I had no suffering. So when the world's going to throw suffering at me, I wasn't ready for it. So you need to always be putting yourself into hard positions so that when they do actually come from the universe, you're ready for it. You're conditioned for it. So that's just like the big thing, I think, is conditioning yourself.
I think even with women, like it really like you always want to pursue like as men, I don't know if this is just me, but like pursuing the challenge. Hey, the one that's worth the fight, the one that's, there's something to that. There's something that's where it's because you almost pedestal the reward to be greater because you've put in more work. It's like the effort. I don't know if you were to put it into an equation where it was like effort times challenge, or what, you know, like it's, I don't know what it's going to be.
Well, it's like I don't want to, like, I'm not saying women are like cars, but like a Ferrari, it costs a lot more than like a Ford Focus, and a lot more effort will come to get that Ferrari. So you're going to cherish it a lot more. Or the same reason you can buy like a Gucci t-shirt with a name brand. The feeling of having that is like, I've worked hard to buy this $800 t-shirt where I could have bought the same white t-shirt from, you know, the shop, and I wouldn't have had the same connection and emotional attachment to it because you worked hard to earn that. I'm not saying like I support that kind of stuff. I'm just saying the effort going into getting something will make you feel better when you do actually get it. Like you said earlier, you want to fight for something, it'll make you feel better when you
value what we fight for.
Yeah. That's the value, hey. And even if I can even draw this back into, you were saying with your relationship, and you were saying earlier about like the traumas that come up through the relationship, and that is always an opportunity to run away because you're like, fuck this. I don't want to. This is, but it's through your strength and realizing, hey, this is something that not only you've brought this to my awareness, and because we're a team, and how can I convert that to gratitude because you're giving me an opportunity to work through this together rather than me having to do it by myself.
Yeah.
So if you don't mind sort of sharing with your relationship with Georgia and stuff, and you said you might have had a little something this morning, a bit of turbulence there, but you just know that each and every time you've come out the other side and you've been stronger, eh?
Yeah, 100%. And the line that sort of framed before I rip into that is everything we perceive that's not love or gratitude is a lopsided perception. And that sounds very sort of, I guess, nitty gritty or detailed, but everything, like think about when we were babies and when we were starting to crawl around, walk around, before we gave a shit about people's opinions, we had an ego and we were just living in the moment. Besides when we wanted food or we were going to the bathroom, we were curious, we were loving, and we were grateful, right? But then we developed the ego, the personas, the people's opinions, the expectations, and all that shit. And so we're not living in that moment, right? So, and whenever you see something is wrong or shouldn't have happened, you're not seeing why it did happen. And that's where like life happens for you, not to you. So that's kind of the preface of going into this. So I guess another take on it is you're going to be triggered. You attract people and circumstances to reveal parts of you that you haven't worked on. So they're gonna reveal those traumas, and whoever gets to know you the deepest. So you guys will probably trigger each other from time to time, just from knowing each other quite well. So and that's it. And it's like I've got the closer you know someone, like we probably don't trigger each other because I've just met yourself today. But if we got to know each other for fucking 100 hours, we would trigger each other somewhere because you're just getting to know the deeper, more authentic version of yourselves, right? And that authentic self has the wounds that haven't been healed through. So because of that, when you're in a relationship, that's who's going to get you to know you the best, right? So they're going to bring up those parts of you when you're being yourself, when you're being silly, when you're being your inner child. That's when the wounds can be poked a little bit. And so when that does happen, it's still challenging. Like even this morning, I was not amazing this morning. I was not the best. The most previous one, and I was probably been balanced because I was looking up to myself. Last time we did, I handled it really well, and I was kind of pumping my tires up. I was like, shit, we were both triggered, but I was regulating really well, and I was like, babe, what can I do for you? I'm here for you. And I was really good. Didn't handle it so far today. I kind of got triggered and snapped a bit today. But it's when you're triggered, it's understanding that a wound is there, because if you didn't have a wound there, you wouldn't be triggered. So if you're triggered, there's something there. What someone says and does is their shit. How you react to it is your shit. And if you just listen to that one line and apply it,
ownership,
it's not them. I could come up to you guys and say the most hurtful fucking things to you that you've ever heard. If there was no wounds there, you'd sit there and say, thank you for sharing. Yeah. I appreciate your perspective. Thanks for your insight. So I guess to cut to the punchline is whenever you're triggered, which is going to happen, and it's not fucking easy. It was not easy for me this morning. I've handled it better in the past, is just regulating as best that you can. Understand, asking questions such as, why is this happening to me? What's the lesson that I haven't learned yet? What is this teaching me? What trauma is this bringing up? And this is where in that sort of weekend event, one of the parts is mastering perceptions, where we go through and balance this out. But where's the trauma? So the tool that I work on is identifying what the trigger is. What specifically triggered you? I know we're running out of time here, but what specifically triggered you? Because when something triggers you, it's not the whole thing. Like if I did something, if I looked like someone who used to bully you in school, just the way I looked might trigger you. But it's not the way I speak, it's not my name, it's not what I say, it's just how I look. Or if I said a word that your dad used to use to you when he was hurting you when you're younger, that word might get you, right? So you find out what specifically triggered me, and then where's that coming from? That can be hard because you might have buried traumas, you can't remember it, you're too young, etc. But if you can find specifically what triggered me, then what have I been through that this is triggering? And then heal that, then you won't get triggered anymore because the wound's gone, right? Yeah. Because that reaction is coming from the trauma or the wound. And then how to do that? What are the benefits of this? How is this serving me? Where do I do the same thing? Who sees the opposite trait in me? And there's about 11 questions that we go through. But doing that in the moment, not easy. It's not very easy. So I just encourage for anyone, when you do have it, because it's going to happen, you can't avoid it, is see it as a good thing. You are finding pieces of you that you haven't worked through yet. I'm huge in self-growth, and so are you guys. So don't you want to get triggered more so you can get the opportunity to heal more, right? You want to heal more, right? So whatever triggers you most heals you the most. So you're going to get that most in a relationship. See it as a good thing. Learn to regulate. So you guys do breath work, you do ice baths, learn how to ground yourself. Ask quality questions. How is this serving me? What's my partner's perspective right now? That can be quite hard to see. where's this coming from? And if you want to go deeper into that, that's a whole conversation. But yeah, it's not always easy. I'm not great at it all the time. Sometimes I am. Sometimes I'm not so great, like today. But we're all on our healing journey. So
and we're all fucking human.
We're all fucking human, right?
Yeah.
And we're all trying to traject towards perfection, which is inevitably impossible.
We're all doing the best we can with what we're
Yeah,
doing.
My man.
that's right. That's right. Yeah.
Let's unleash it. How did you?
It's not very rigid. So like,
Okay, cool.
How did you start? Because like I can like backtrack and understand like there's a point where something happened where like this is where I had to choose a journey. But how did you start in regards to your mindset, your philosophy on things? All the things you're saying are so wise and helpful to a lot of people, but you still are quite young in the world. Like where did you start? How did you get into it? Who was your first teacher? How do you suggest other people start as well? A lot of questions in one, so you just go freestyle.
I think back to like everything you go through shapes you. So I talk about values is always the first thing I talk about when I work with people. It's the first thing we work on, the first thing we determine. It helps you find your purpose. It helps you heal, etc. Thank you, gentlemen. So your values come from what's painful to you. So that's just a good way to sort of frame things. So if you had pain when you're growing up around money or wealth, then making money will probably be important to you later, right? If you had pain around your health because of whatever reason, health will become important to you. So I had a lot of pain around my emotions. Like I got diagnosed with Asperger's when I was younger, so socially awkward. I still get a little bit socially awkward in scenes like this. Coming into here, I was like in the car, bit of breath work to come in. It's like I still get a little bit of that because those traumas are still there for me that I'm still working through. So whatever is painful to you, you're going to be drawn to learning about. So I had a lot of pain around mental health in my family. Like I have family members attempt suicide, family members on depression, anxiety tablets. I've had a lot of emotional volatility in my upbringing, so that was painful for me, so that draws me to learn about it. And I think another way of your question is you just it's just like ice cream, I guess. Like you're going to try different flavors and see what you like, as cliche as that is. Like I've done some things that were awesome and I got value from it, but it wasn't my style of teaching. Because what I'm talking about right now, there's another 1,000 people out there that would teach similar stuff, right? I've got my method and my source of how I structure it and stack it together and how I teach it. But there's people that teach trauma. There's people that teach purpose. There's people that teach values. There's people that teach anxiety. There's all of that. So finding people that you resonate with, like Tony Robbins was my first one. So Tony Robbins was my introduction. I think he's a big part for a lot of people to get you into self-development because he's so fucking good at what he does. But I love Tony. He changed my life. I love the triad. I love the 6 human needs. I love controlling your state. I love his energy and taking massive fucking action. I love Tony. But Tony wasn't the be all and end all. It's like, great, I love that. Then who else? Kerwin Ray was he's probably the biggest one so far in my life. That's changed my life. And then Dr. G. Martini, him and Kerwin are kind of on par with each other. Then there's Dr. Joe Dispenza. Then there's, Gary Vee, more of a social media person that I've learned from. Jay Shetty, I was just listening to him on the way down here. Ryan Holiday, I just got into him. I only discovered him like 6 months ago, so I've been really enjoying his stuff. So Marcus Aurelius, I just bought Meditations the other day, so pumped to get into that. So you'll be drawn to things. So like some of the questions to determine your values is one of the questions is what do you research, study, and learn about the most? Because if you like learning about health, health's probably important to you. If you do health, it's important to you. Your life demonstrates what your values are. It's like just a little rant on values is some people think they know what values are and they put social idealisms on top of themselves of what values are. I'll use best examples like honesty, loyalty, and respect. I'll use it with you gentlemen. Do you guys value honesty? Do you see yourselves as honest people?
Yes.
Beautiful. Have you both lied before?
Yep.
Fantastic. And that just shows that it's not a value, it's just what people think is important, right? And I'm not saying that honesty can't be a value of yours. Are you researching the art of honesty? How to tell when someone's lying? How do you communicate honestly? Like if you're not actually pursuing it and studying it and learning it and applying it, it's not a value of yours. It's just someone's told you need to be an honest person. Why?
Social conforms.
Yeah, so that comes to religion, comes to government, comes to education systems, obviously your parents, obviously your teachers, the people that the groups you grew up with. So like the biggest conflicts generally is health, wealth, and family. It's like people say family should come first. Coming from someone who has a high value on family. If you don't talk to your family that often, don't want to hang out with them too much, don't spend money on them, don't think about them, they're probably not a high value of yours. And there's nothing wrong with that. That was so relieving to me when I heard that because I don't have a high value on family. Not in this part of my life anyways. I'm mission driven.
Yeah.
My values, coaching, learning, and wealth creation. They're my top 3. So if I'm coaching, learning, and making money, I feel fucking good.
Yeah.
And it's not saying I don't value my family or love them. I just don't have a high value of them in this phase of my life.
I fucking would hear that, yeah.
And it's just relieving and lightening when you hear that, when you actually hear what I'm saying, where you don't, if you ever use the words, I have to, I should, I've got to, I must, or someone's saying that to you, someone is putting their values on someone else. If I say you should go to the gym more, that's me putting my health on top of you. If I say you should look after your finances more, that's me putting my value of wealth on top of you. It's like a bodybuilder going up to a businessman and saying you should go to the gym more, and then the businessman says you should go get your money sorted. They're just putting each other's value. You don't have to do anything.
Yep.
Where's the rules or the user's guide of us? You have to be and do all this. We could go live on the street and be bums if we wanted to. True. We don't have to live in it. You don't have to pay rent here. You don't have to run a business. You want to, right? You did it because there's some part of you that's inspired to do it. And when you get by choice, because you're drawn towards your purpose, you're drawn towards your values. So I don't know what your question was. I kind of got off track. What was your question?
That was amazing. It was just getting into this whole field of discovering purpose, discovering mentors and teachers. But that was awesome. Yeah.
So values is what it was painful to. You'll probably be drawn to learning that stuff.
Yeah.
So mental and emotional health was painful for me. So it drew me towards that.
Yeah.
So when I heard John DeMartini, when he talked about traumas and depression and anxiety and how to cure it and overcome it through a process, and you're not a burden or attached or at its mercy, I was like, fuck yeah, how do you do that? Like, I'm interested in that. If someone said how to play the piano really elegantly, it's probably not going to interest me too much. But someone who loves playing the piano, they're going to be fucking excited by that. So follow your curiosity, follow your interests, follow what inspires you. Obviously try different things. I didn't know about Ryan Holiday, and I got into it. I was like, this is sick. It's like, this is awesome. I love this shit because it's stuff that was, if I look back at my life, did I have people in my life that had great morals about them, who lived like a stoic person, who did what was right, who regulated their emotions, who did that? No, I didn't. That was painful for me. So now I've found something that matches that void. So it's interesting to me. So that's what I would recommend anyone. Just get started. Some names to throw around. Tony Robbins, love him. Cohen Ray, love him. Dr. John DeMartini, love him. Joe Dispenza. Inner work, if you're kind of on my vibe, is You're Not Broken by Dr. Sarah Woodhouse. She's awesome. How to Do the Work by Nicole Lapria is awesome. What's it called? The Body Keeps the Score. I cannot remember that gentleman's name. It's a German guy.
That book is on my bedside table. Awesome. I'm about to start reading that.
Really cool book. Just how like trauma can be, like we can go down depression medications, this rabbit hole if you want. Like if depression medication worked, it cured depression. Why is the use of depression medication going up? And just like it doesn't. It's a symptom solver, not a cause solver. So, and if again, I've done many posts on this, and it gets a bit of backlash, but it's read those books and you'll understand what I'm saying. But yeah, the book was, yeah, I can't pronounce that, but yeah, gentlemen, he's got a couple of funny YouTube videos. He's quite a crude guy when he teaches. It's really funny. So check his stuff out. His stuff's really good.
Epic. I love it. This has been so good. Epic. Everything you said is just like yes. I'm so about it. So Epic. This has been sick just to sit here and listen. If you were to just to say to someone who's like, hey, I am 18. For us really, if I'm a young man, I want to start getting shit serious in like business, my personal life, all that. If I want to get into serious, what's their kind of like? What's the customer journey? So to say, where do they begin? Is it in the gym? Is it reading books? Is it reaching out for help? Yeah.
There's whatever path you take is the right path, right? And it like the gym path with me, even though it wasn't the end destination, it was meant to happen. I learned so much about myself and I learned so many skills I would cherish to this day. So whatever path you take is the right path. I always lean towards mentorship because you can turn decades into days. Obviously, health is a part of it. Or everything you just said is pieces of the puzzle. For me, if I was to, it's kind of my inspired life method. That's what I do. So I would say, find your values first, find your purpose first, or discover your purpose, set a fucking mission or get clear on a mission for yourself, work on your shit, work on your stuff, and have a plan to get there. And on top of that, environment, get around the right people. So whether that, again, mentors or just cool people that are living, working on themselves, because I'm sure you guys went through this phase when you kind of get into working on yourself and you got your old friends that aren't really into that. They're kind of, why the fuck are you doing all that stuff? That's fucking cold. That's a scam. Why are you doing that? It's like, man, I want to get my life together. I want to have a life that I love and I'm inspired to have. And to do that, you got to be around the right people. So everything you said, and just get started. Tony says, throw a rock. Wherever the rock lands, start there. Talk to the next person you see. Talk next to the rock. And if it doesn't work, that's cool. Find someone else. That's cool. Find someone else. And just keep going until you figure it out.
Sick. Trying things, action, doing
just
things.
Just fucking do it. Just go. Just get started. It's like you don't need the perfect fucking PT, the perfect meal plan. You don't need anything. Just fucking run.
100%.
Just move your body. Just do that and you'll get there.
Yep. Epic. Fred's gone out.
Love it, man. Yeah, I could sit and just listen all day.
Me too, yeah.
And even when you said, fuck, you said, what was your question again? I'm like, no, keep going. Just
keep running.
Yeah, just keep running.
We've got like 5 hours left on that.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Hey, where can people find you? What's your, you say you're stepping away from the gym and you're leading it more into your coaching. What's the big fucking picture for you? What's the
mission?
Yeah, what's the big goal, man?
I'm working on articulating this in a better way. It's to hit a critical mass of consciousness in the world to help people live a life that they love. So it's like if you look at the level of consciousness around the alpha male that we spoke about a lot, when you get to a critical mass point, the masses rule, right? Right now, it's the other way around. The old toxic masculine that we were speaking about, the old school alpha male, that's the dominant view of life, right? So mine is to...
That's the one where you poke them or you say the ego ones and you throw something that's when some trauma comes up.
Exactly right. Yeah. So mine is to heal and improve the consciousness of the world. That's the purpose. And then my mission is to help hit the critical point of consciousness around the world. To do that, my goal is to impact 10 million people in 10 years. So that's the goal. Don't know how the fuck I'm going to get there, but that's where I'm running. So
how do you record that?
What's that? People that go through the live events or the pre-recorded events. Because if you go through people that I've reached on my Instagram, millions and millions of people, I don't count that. Seeing a quote is nice. It probably lightens up your day a little bit, but it's not, for me, that's not impact. People understanding their values, their purpose, knowing how to heal, knowing how to regulate, knowing how to overcome their ego and live a life they fucking love, that's impact. So I want to impact 10 million people. That's the goal.
Fucking nice.
If we had so much more time, I'd love to just rip into the ego because I feel like that can be a massive conversation in itself.
Ego, I love ego.
Was there a turning point where you hit a wall and you're like, I've run my whole life on ego, or this is where I need to dissolve it? Or
I had a lot of pain around it from father, transparently, and business partners, and you attract this because this is my stuff. I attracted this is bullying. I got a lot of bullies in school, but I attracted that into my life. So I guess having pain through it made me quite the opposite. Lack of confidence, very shy, socially awkward. Kind of fits that narrative that I was telling you before. So I'm not going to say I haven't struggled with the ego myself. I definitely do. I got triggered this morning and the ego came out. So it still does show up. I think I experienced a lot of pain from the ego. So from father figures, mentors, teachers, bullies, which made me very interested in understanding it. So being able to identify it, being able to communicate it, being able to point it out in a healthy way instead of saying, that's your fucking ego. Saying, hey, I heard a lot of judgment in what you said. Where's that coming from? Oh, fuck. And then what do you mean? It's you just said that with a lot of judgment. Why did you say it with judgment? Where's the judgment coming from? Because judgment's drinking poison and hoping your enemy dies, isn't it? Interesting. And then you go down the trauma route. So that I had a lot of pain from it. So it's made me very interested. And when I first learned about it through Kerwin, what the ego was and doing ego is the enemy from Ryan Holiday and other teachers that teach ego, that's where sort of the passion has come from.
So I'm in two minds about ego is the enemy as the title of a book because it makes a lot of people believe that the ego is only bad. Because I think there's a lot of benefits to having an awareness of your ego. Do you have similar kind of views, or what are your views on the positives of it?
Yeah, great question. Really great question. You both great question askers. So the ego's purpose, the ego's intention. So this is how I define it. There's kind of two ways I explain it. The first way, it's the identity that we've created of who we need to be loved and to be successful, right? We need to have the cars, the money, the success, the body, whatever. That's based on the pain and the insecurities that you've got. You don't have to do jack shit, right? Like in 1,000 years, no one's going to know who anyone is. I'll have this podcast maybe, but no one's going to actually remember. Like, you follow Hormozy? He said this a lot. He shared that quote about the Queen. Yeah, the Queen the other day. She had more power and more wealth than any of us. Well, maybe I don't know what you guys are up to this day, but more wealth. Like, she controlled a fucking nation. And no one's thought of her until we just read his quote. So it's like the legacy. I love Hormozy's view on legacy, and I'm very much the same. So the ego is just there of who you need to be successful, be good enough, be loved, whatever. So whenever you get attacked in that, or someone attacks that identity of you, that's where it comes out to attack. And then the second way I define it is the one where I said before, it stands guard at your wounds and your trauma. So they kind of intertwine with it. But the ego's intention is to keep you safe. That its intention is really good. Because if again, say, hypothetically, you've got a wound around something, and I was to ask you a question at it, and you're not ready or you don't want to go there, the ego is going to come up because it just doesn't want to go through pain. Fair enough, right? Imagine going to the gym and not wanting to feel pain. Like it's counterintuitive, right? And we're speaking about do things that are hard, do things that are painful, do things that are challenging. So it's counterintuitive. The intention is good. The outcome is shit. It just stops you from healing. If you've got some inner work to do and your ego just keeps deflecting it, denying it, attacking it, comparing it, etc. There's traits of the ego. There's about 12, and I forget a couple of them without having it here. If your ego just keeps avoiding it, yes, it avoids the pain of talking about it, but it also avoids the growth of actually addressing it. So the intention is really good. It's just, it stops you from growing, essentially. I like seeing your face shut.
Oh, I'm with you. I agree, 100%. Yeah.
What's your guys' takes on the ego?
I think it's definitely all those things. It does control a lot of those things, but also I use my ego to grow.
Awesome.
Example, just sports and like competing.
Yeah.
I want to be better than that person, so I'm going to push a little harder. And is that my ego just trying to prove that I'm better than him? Yep. Maybe. Is it bringing me like the outcome of what I want is being, successful in that field? Yeah. Also, like, as long as it's under control, just harnessing it like, for example, in a run, there was someone in front of me and I wanted to use my ego to I'm going to catch them and beat them. Beautiful. All right, sweet. I've used it. I've got to pass them. See the next guy, get past them.
Epic.
And then as soon as the run finishes, switch it off. Everyone's here just like, we're all part of the same kind of floating rock. So we all love each other. So using it as a tool to switch it on when needed. Because like, I remember you came in when I was training once and you were trying to talk to me. And it was switched on. I was like, bear mode, just like, I don't want to talk to you. I want to get this shit done. And then as soon as it's finished, I'm like, sorry if I was a bit rude to you before. I was in the zone.
Yeah.
So like harnessing the shadow, I guess, harnessing the ego to get things done. I don't ever want people to hear the things I think about sometimes when it's out, because it's like I use whatever fuel I can to try and get a job done.
Yeah.
But then just knowing when to switch it off, knowing not to like when to know like, all right, switch it off. These are all just people doing the same thing in like a meat flesh suit on the same fucking planet. So it's like kind of how I harness that.
I love it, man. I love the take on it. I absolutely agree. And it's still, especially I guess as men, you got that competitive warrior side where you want to dominate, you want to win, right? So there's nothing wrong with that sense. So I love your take on it. The only maybe tweak I'd look at it is you use the word fuel. That's a question I always ask myself as a coach. Like there's a client that goes to the gym and she trains 2-3 times a day.
Wow.
Super fit, insane. And there's nothing wrong with that. What's the fuel to take her to the gym? She has, I've spoken with this person, a lot of personal stuff that she avoids. She's got a lot of pain at home with her partner. So she goes home, has an argument. I'm going to go to the gym to avoid it. So she's using it as fuel for the wrong reasons. Yeah. So that's the only maybe tweak I'd look into it. But if it's a healthy balance, of course. I trained this morning and the manager at the studio, so I train at the studio every day, and the whole team was there. So all the trainers were there and I was training in the class with them. I went in the same group as them. I wanted to fucking be stronger than them. So it definitely has its perks as long as you've got control over it, like what you said. Like you've let it unleash when the time is right, when you're in, I guess, warrior mode, when you're in training mode or performance mode. as long as it's under control and it doesn't, like you said, you made up to him later after you had a little bit of a rant at him. But yeah, I agree with what you're saying.
Yeah. Definitely, you have to have like a stronger why than just the ego. Because I think if you have like a really concrete why as to why you're doing something, you'll understand when the ego's gone too far or when it's like time to use it. Because I think a lot of dudes in gyms, like their ego is their why for a lot of training, and then you see like once they hit that goal or once something happens that should be like, this is good, the ego is like, oh, it's not enough.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. So if you have like a why that's enough to, outweigh the ego, you can, utilize the ego when needed. But then when you get that thing, be like, all right, enough is enough. I'm happy. Like this is my why. I got to the destination of the journey or whatever. I got to the end. So yeah, having that stronger why than the ego is definitely important.
Beautiful. This is a balance of like the achievement, but like the legacy doesn't matter as well. It's like yes, let's achieve because it's meaningful to us.
Yeah.
And it drives us and it gives us that energy, but at the same time, it doesn't fucking matter anyways. So that's kind of the duality that sort of comes into it. But
Definitely.
love it.
What's your take on that, ego?
You guys have already pretty much addressed it fully. I see both sides. Yeah, 100%. I remember someone saying like you want to kill the ego, but it's like, well, if you kill the ego, you'd do nothing. What would inspire you? What would drive you to do anything?
You're sit in the field doing nothing.
Yeah, so it's like I shared a quote this week about same Jordan Peterson sort of thing. It's like, the guy, a good man is someone who is very, very, very dangerous.
Yeah, I love
However, he has it under voluntary control.
It's like you've got the power, but you choose not to use it, or you choose when to use it.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel that's having your ego in check.
Yeah.
That's you are sure of yourself. You have all of the. You know in yourself that you're confident, I guess. So, but it's separating confidence from arrogance as well.
That's a fine line.
That is a fine line.
Yeah. Ryan Holiday comes to mind with that. I'm just like picturing that. Have you guys done his stuff and his books and anything?
I've read.
I've seen his Instagram.
Yeah.
His first book. I can't remember the name of it now.
What was his first one?
I don't know, like one of his biggest ones that kind of hit the scene. It was before Ego is the Enemy. It was
Courage is Calling?
Nah.
I don't know which order that came out.
Yeah.
I've got him.
I enjoyed it.
There.
What's that?
Ego is the enemy and courage is calling.
Yeah,
Courage is
bit of
Calling.
I like a lot of his stuff, but I also like, I don't know if this is skewed because the algorithms give me certain things, but sometimes I find him like very passive.
Yep.
But I could have just been seeing out of context videos because Instagram just sends me all these things all the time, and I see so many different angles of different, influencers and celebrities and all that, and there'll be people that come up and they'll say, "Oh, I hate this person because of this," but then I've seen only the good things. So I think I love his work, and I love all the things that he's bringing to the modern world. The Stoicism, especially, that was like my absolute entry point to philosophy.
Epic, that's good.
So that was like I was obsessed with it, but also maybe it's my ego talking. I just see him as like a very fragile guy, and like in the physical world, I see him kind of training and be like, all right, if you're talking about all this stuff, why do you still like look so unhealthy and weak? But that's another thing. Like I'm not sure on why I feel that way, but I could dissect it and get down to, is it me just like projecting onto him?
I'd say a piece of it, like I was saying before, the fit guy to the business guy. So you should go to the gym more, you should train more. I watch a fair bit of his stuff. I'm not like his biggest Raven fan, by the way, just so I'm not like Raven for him. I love the substance he teaches, so I love the stuff that he teaches. But yeah, to balance it out, like he does like ultra marathons and shit. So
exactly,
that's his version of hard versus it. But I definitely see your point of what you're saying.
But also, I do love his work, and I can't remember the name of the book. It was the one on Stoicism. No. There was one on Stoicism, like the first one that hit the scene was real big, and that's.
I've only known him for 6 months. So
right.
I've only just.
We'll talk about it. I'll look on my Audible or something straight after, like, that was the name of it.
Yeah.
The way, the enemy, the key. I don't know.
No, he's got a lot of books.
I feel like 12.
Wow, good on him.
Yeah.
Good on him.
Wicked stuff.
Thank you very much for coming on today and offering your time. You're a busy man, I know, and you've got so much purpose, such a big mission, and especially having it outlined where that figure of like that 10 million, like fuck, that's going to be driving you.
Yeah, and I don't know, I don't know how I'm gonna get there yet, but
It doesn't matter. You don't need to know the fucking how. You'll find it out on the way.
Throw the rock. Just start.
Just run.
I'm running, baby.
Hey, awesome team. Hey, another episode from us here at the Brotherhood Wholeness Centre on the Brotherly Love podcast. Thank you to our guest, Lewis Huckstep.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Adam Green and
Fred.
Drake Lamar.
Thank you, Fred.
And thank you, Kai Katizi, for yet again.
Man behind the curtain.
Just, love you, wee brother.
Thank you to the listeners for actually listening, because if it weren't for you, it would just be 4 dudes in a room.
That's right. That's right. If you haven't checked out Brotherhood, come down, have a session with us. We've got so much coming out this year. We've got such a massive year planned ahead as well. And we're just looking forward to expanding with you. So get involved, hit us up on a DM and get yourself involved. You will not regret it. It'll be the best decision you made of your fucking life. Ever.
See you there.
Big love, teams. Catch you later.
I have to know this book now. It's just like bugging me.
Fucking with you, man.
It's